to develop feelings for the opposite sex, especially when you have been called into service, whether directly to that person or to a group of people where that person is. Now, we live in a society that is a mixed society. When I mean mixed, it's a combination of the male and the female sexes or gender. And every time you hear this word, love, I've fallen in love, I'm madly in love with him or with her. Now the question is, for Christians, for a true child of God, is it normal? Is there a place for such to happen? That maybe in the course of my rendering my services genuinely with a clear heart, and then at a point I begin to develop some feelings for the opposite sex within that organization or group where I find myself as a Christian. Is it normal? Now, the first thing we must understand is that every human has emotions. Every human being has emotions. And so, if you must live a healthy life, you do not have to deny the emotions you have. Now, it's not wrong to tell yourself, girl, you are actually feeling funny anytime you stand around this guy. What's really up? What's happening to you? Now, you talking to yourself, maybe in your quiet time or when you're just alone, it helps you to come to a realization that something is really happening to you. And then the next right thing to do is to seek for help. Seek for counsel from the right people. Now, there are people who may not understand you. There are people that once they hear whatever you have to say, the next thing is to begin to say, why do you have to fall in love with him? Or why do you have to fall in love with her? I'm not saying it's wrong for that question to come. But there are people who have been there before. And the question is, they begin to ask, or probably want to find out, what and what occasion led to this coming up? Now, if there are neutral occasions where you did not have any personal one-on-one contact to a point of becoming so intimate for that feelings to rise, then they could redirect you back to the place of prayer and say, go and find out if really this person is the will of God for you in marriage, especially for singles. Now, it is abnormal for a married man or a married woman to be developing feelings for the opposite sex on the single status. When I say it's abnormal, although yes, we have emotions, but at this point, you're already bounded to someone. And so you developing feelings, when I mean feelings, talking of this attraction towards the opposite sex who is a single person. For the married people, it's really kind of abnormal. But for the single, it's normal because every single craves for companionship. So unconsciously, when you see that person who gives you that special attention, that vibe, permit me to use the word, that vibe that you actually desire as a person, you find out that it makes you drawn, as in it makes you to be drawn to that person. You are drawn to that person consciously and unconsciously. And that's why we're trying to find out, is it right for you to be drawn to that person emotionally such that you are love streaking because of that person? Permit me to use that word. Now, it is normal. Like I said, every human has what? Emotions. The only thing is what you do with your emotions is what matters. As a single person who is of marriageable age, you already know that yes, one day, except God has told you you're going to be a eunuch, yeah, In that case, you already know that marriage is out of the way. But if God did not tell you you're going to be uh, a celibate, someone who's not going to get married, then you know that there's a possibility. One day you're going to find love somewhere. You don't know where. Because God will always lead his people. And if you're someone who is open minded and you did not have any kind of sensual attraction that brought you to that point, to that person, then it's very important that the next good step to take is to seek the face of God. Father, I don't know what is happening to me. I'm drawn to this guy, I'm drawn to this lady. I don't know, anytime I'm around them, I feel this way. Help me. I don't know what to do. And then, God is always the all knowing God. He could either allow you to wait, or He could either direct you to someone who will be able to give you a proper guide on how and what and when to channel these feelings for it to bring forth the right results. And so it is absolutely normal for singles who find themselves in an organization, in a fellowship, in a church, in a group, a Christian group, in the course of service, in the course of their service to God and to humanity, to develop mutual or emotional feelings, to be love stricken towards the opposite sex. It's normal. We are humans, we are frail, we have emotions, and these emotions can be stirred when in the right atmosphere or be aroused in another way. We're not talking of people trying to arouse emotions with seductions. No. Now, if there are no seductions but just pure service, and this happens, it is normal. But when there is an arousing of emotions by seduction, I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't want to be a bearer of bad news, but I don't think that relationship would be able to survive the storm. Because something that is true has to come from the right source. It doesn't mean that every relationship that is working today actually started on the right footing. But along the line, for those who didn't start on the right footing, they found out the right key. And so most of them had to reconnect back to the right key in order to get the right direction and to be able to get the right results. So that's why it's very important. As Christians today who are aware of the right things to do based on how we're brought up with the Word of God, taught this and that and that. Now, it's very important that we also understand that anything that is gotten by the wrong means may not last. It will only bring pain and one trying to meet up with the false standard that he or she has set. Now, if it's a guy who's trying to woo a lady or trying to win the attention of a lady by pretending to be who he's not, there's a problem already. You know why? If he's able to get her attention by being false, that means he's going to continue to live a false life to maintain the so-called love he has gotten. The same also applies to the ladies. And so that's why it's very important that while in service, we maintain a very clear mind, a clear heart, and be open to whatever God has. Now, in the course of a lot of people have gotten their partners, marital partners, I meant to say, in the course of serving God genuinely. So God can visit anybody. And also, it's very, very good to have this optimistic outlook. I believe God will visit me here. But at the same time, it shouldn't be a desperate one. It shouldn't go into desperation. Now, if it doesn't happen, maybe in the first months or first year or second month or years, or as the case may be, maybe as expected, and one is becoming very, oh please, I don't think. And then some people become very desperate and they begin to check. Any brother that comes, they try to do, or sister that comes, they try to do anything just to win the attention. No, at that point, it's wrong. But it's very normal. It's actually normal for one to develop feelings for the opposite sex whom he or she is working with or serving with in any particular group, or in a very big organization or small organization, as the case, whichever one. It is normal for it to happen because we are emotional beings created with emotions. So it is normal. But the only thing that is very important and paramount is to pray and channel it to the right direction. There's certain times God will tell you, forget this person. He or she is not. Now, if we don't get that message on time, we could fall so deeply in love with that person that even when God is saying, no, 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 it becomes difficult to break free. And at that point, you see people entering into relationships or marriages that will only be based on what? Pain. Because what God is saying that you cannot see, for which He's saying stay away, will become the issues that will be standing very tall when finally the both parties decide to ignore the warnings and go into the marriage or relationship. And for those who are patient enough to have a long relationship, at the end of it, most of them don't end up in marriage. Because those things they did not see at the beginning, they begin to see it over time. So, dear friends, don't feel odd when you begin to develop feelings for the opposite sex, especially as a Christian. Whether it's as a teenager, as a youth, as an adult, you are healthy. It is normal. The only thing is, once you begin to notice such, quickly run back to your Father in heaven and say, Father, this is how I feel towards this person. I am drawn towards, I can't explain it. Please help me manage these emotions. If he or she is the right person, draw them by yourself. And if not, redirect them to the right people who you have prepared for them. It makes it easy for you to maintain this neutrality until the manifestation of the right person coming to you. And if it happens to be the right person, that means you're already on the right path. So thank you. And if you have contributions or questions as regards to this, please feel free to send in your comments. We will be glad to hear.